Standing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Real. I'm Papa T, and I want to welcome Malik Williams up to Real. He was just sitting down there on Entertainers Roundtable. Malik, how's it going? Outstanding.
Good morning.
You hear me speak very highly of Malik Williams. I appreciate his dedication to his craft, and that is really spreading the truth and reality about the family structure. Mm-hmm. Right? And a lot of folks just focus on the father or the mom, and they think they're talking about the family, but the family is a man, woman, and child.
Yes.
And that's what you teach.
Yes, that is the complete overall. And just to clarify, as much as I appreciate the accolades, I take no glory in this work because the topic that we are discussing, there is no glory in it.
Outstanding.
Okay. My goal, and has always been the goal, is for us to actually go to scripture and raise up the child in the way that they should go.
There you go.
And in order to do that, the child needs to not suffer what I call an identity crisis. And identity actually comes from the blueprint of mom and dad and working cohesively together to raise the child in the way that they should go. Awesome. So that is ultimately the goal that we're looking for.
Okay, now let me ask you this. In your pursuit of bringing about this cohesion, right? What are some of the obstacles that you have found exist in sort of attempting to hinder you from that same progress?
Yeah, some of the obstacles that we're finding is, again, and it comes down to something so simple. If you just take things back to the blueprint, you know, where you have two people who come together, create a life, and raise a family, there always has to be one simple element that seems to be missing, which is the art of communication. That is a lost art. That's what I'm finding out. We were talking backstage earlier, and I was saying, wow, it kind of seems like the school dance, where you'll have moms on one side, dads on the other. But in the midst of that, what's being lost in the element is the child. And what always seems to happen is when the child doesn't feel like he is being attended to, from both parties, whatever he's missing, he will supplement and start to outsource. So if he's not getting that male involvement, he will gravitate towards, let's say, the street or other males in the community who may not have his best interests in mind. A young lady may gravitate for the loss of a father. She may look for older men to take care and fulfill that void. On the same part, if mom's missing, there's a lack of nurturing, and you'll find out a lot of young men will be longing for their mothers, and with that comes a lot of anger and resentment and lack of respect for women. So now they won't have any issue with treating a woman like she shouldn't be treated. Running through them, or as they say, smashing that chick, or whatever, you know how they talk. So they'll run through women like it's no problem, because they're saying the woman who gave me life, the woman who birthed me, is not a part of my world. So why should I care about these other ones? And they don't realize that by disrespecting the woman, the creator of our legacy, they're actually disrespecting themselves.
Now, you know what? I mean, I'm just going to reflect on this for a minute. The scripture tells you that if you throttle a woman, you are to marry her. Now, if we were enforcing this to the level it should be enforced, right? So all those women or females that they so-called smash, now they have to throttle them. They become a responsibility.
Yes.
Right? Do you think that would change things?
I believe that, well, first of all, I think men need to understand that when you want to go that route of just seeing how many girls you could bag smash or this, that, and the other thing, you are not anywhere near a parent or a father. You're more of what they call a sire. You're just sowing seed, and that is not what we have called our men to do. What I am finding out on the opposite side of the spectrum is, even when I've talked and I've counseled many moms, and what I find out when I counsel them, we'll have this conversation. You know, it's like, okay, well, we're talking about the father of your child. And it's like, yeah, how long did you guys plan? You know, as far as, you know, raising this child? Did you talk about what schools he would go to, what kind of physicians you were interested in, you know, what kind of morals and values you wanted to instill in the child? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, what do you mean? We didn't plan this kid. And it's like, really? But I said, so you were practicing to have a child? Because if you are being intimate with one another, eventually that outcome will happen. Indeed. You do run that risk.
It's the aftermath.
So rather than, trying to get into how do we bring this together, I think we need to start on a very low level and have young folks understand, like, I know there's an organization called Planned Parenthood.
I was getting ready to bring that up.
Okay, but there's an organization called that, but I just like the title. Just the title. When you plan to parent, then the family comes involved. And I do believe, just as scripture says, that a man should take on a woman and take on that responsibility. Indeed. First of all, be responsible for self. Then with that responsibility, you take on the wife. Indeed. And then the two of you are responsible for one another. Indeed. Then you bring forth that fruit, and then you raise and cultivate that fruit so that fruit can elevate to the next level.
Being equally yoked and in the same direction.
Yes.
Not have the child divided. Yes. Any house divided cannot stand. But a lot of folks, when they think of Planned Parenthood, they simply think of the process of the right to give birth or the right to abort. So we need to first, one of the things, go back and reconstruct the way people view Planned Parenthood and what their real, not only their intentions, but what their actions entail. Yeah,
and I mean, this is a slippery slope that we're talking about, because if you look at the founder of Planned Parenthood, it was called Eurogenics. Margaret, I'm forgetting her name, but that's where Planned Parenthood actually came from. That's the originator, who, if you do your research on her, you'll find out that she was in plight to actually eradicate the Negro race. It was more like, this was more about population control back then, by introducing birth control, by introducing abortion. And actually, a statement that came out of her own mouth was, and we should use the charismatic ministers in the Negro church to promote this agenda. Because we know that they knew that, black folks then went to church. They always, the preacher says what to do, the preacher embraces it. So they kind of wanted to use that as a mode to get that agenda across. So, which brings us to modern day, where it's like, it's your right to choose, it's your right not to. You could abort or not abort, but whatever it is your right. Now, I'm not taking away anyone's right to do what they want to do with their lives. But when you're also talking about a life that is created within you, it's not your, I always take it back to scripture. If my Father in heaven says, I knew you before you were made, when you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. That means they already had a relationship. Indeed. I don't know if anybody has the right to take that away, or if anybody has the right, because I can't tell people what to do with their own bodies. All I am saying is that a lot more education needs to go into the process prior to conception. Indeed. Because that's where mom and dad, if mom and dad are going to make this decision, it needs to be that joint decision. That's the true foundation of Planned Parenthood. Yes. Is communication. Communication, the foundation of all elevation. You can't go anywhere without positive communication. And the thing is, we're lacking that. And what we are actually receiving in that particular communication is negative empowerment. Yes. When you tell someone that you have the right to, and just by telling an individual that, because you know that power, right, corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts, right? But the thing is to just tell somebody that feels totally disempowered, have no power, that you have the right now. Oh, wow, I got some power here, so they begin to boast, poke the chest out or whatever, put the chin up in the air, and they're like, just because. Well, yeah, I kind of, and I also find it a little, I might raise an eyebrow to the fact that, like, in certain communities, like, Fairfield County, up Greenwich and everything else, when you talk about the topic of, like, abortion, when you bring that topic, it's usually in the lines of health care. But in the urban communities, it's taught more along the lines of contraception. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. Oh, you're pregnant? Get rid of it. And it's just like, wow. So how is that communicated? And when it starts here is one thing, but by the time it gets down here, it's a totally different concept altogether. So again, I'm going to bring it right back to the blueprint. When you educate the young man on what his plans and goals are, and have him actually start thinking about what kind of dad do I want to be, if I want to be a dad. Indeed. Indeed. And then take the proper steps on helping him to achieve his goals. If you work with mom or the young lady, and if being a mother is something that she wants to do later on down the road. Have her plan a proper place and time to do it after she's established, after she's educated, after she has her degrees and she knows where she's going in life, so she can find a man who is as strong or stronger than her to help her, through her journey.
Indeed. I definitely agree in that area right there. And one of the concepts of real to real is it's actually REAL, as you saw with the intro, to real, REEL, is that we like to talk about the filming process, even this is a filming process.
Yes.
Right? But the thing is that what I want to share with the folks right now from that concept of real to real is bring them the real essence of what are some of where I'm a member as well of the H.O.M.E project, is to actually bring them some of the structure, foundations, and intentions of the H.O.M.E project.
Yes.
As far as the documentary that we're going to be implementing some of these facts into to go and reach out further into the community and the nation, not just the community.
Yes.
Because he has a brilliant mind, right? But to reach out into the nation and assist in the elevation of our men, and really, which is really assisting in the elevation of our family, because he is the foundation.
Yes, and I'm really excited about this collaboration with JCT Tv and Vision for Victory. What we're going to try to prove or disprove is if fatherlessness truly exists, or is it just a conjured up image to have us think in our subculture that there aren't fathers who are available, or there is a such thing as a deadbeat dad. I'm trying to track that down like Sasquatch. Because I'm being honest. I have been in this business for 10 years and I have not met a father yet that said, I always wanted to leave my child, or I never wanted to be a dad. Men don't leave their children, they leave the circumstances that are involving the child.